Hey, I'm Joe Brown.
And I'm Robert Rushing.
And we're the Old Government Guys. Old Government Guys is a podcast where we seek to highlight ordinary feds who do extraordinary things and shed light on and recognize your friends, family, and neighbors who comprise the government workforce. Too often, their work goes unnoticed, and we want to put a face on the fellow feds and share with you their stories and accomplishments in a fun and respectful way.
Hey, Old Government Guy Robert here. Welcome to episode 8, where I sit down with Mr. John Gibson and we talk about his career. We've heard from John before, mainly with his humorous stories, but now we're going to get serious. And then in the second half, I'm going to correct a mistake I made in episode 2, where you all will hear Teresa Elhabr's funny story in its entirety. No more editing mistakes. Well, at least not today. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe, and to tell a friend about a show. And now, on to episode 8. Hey, Robert Rushing here, one of the Old Government Guys, and today I've got Mr. John Gibson with me. And John, this is a pleasure. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, my name is John Gibson. I grew up in Utah,
All right.
at the Air Force brat, and wanted to join the military, but wasn't allowed, so I joined the civil service in the Palace Acquire Intern Program about 10 years before you. If you're an old government guy, I'm an older government guy. And started out in California, spent a year at March, 19 months at Offutt, or as I call it, Offutt. And then 13 years at Randolph.
Okay.
Base level. 4.5 years at Fairchild Air Force Base, Washington. Back to Randolph to AETC for 9 years. And then finished out 9 years at FCAC.
That's right.
Yep.
All right.
So,
John, what I'd like to do today is, and this is something that when I bring some folks in, I ask them if they've got a citation or an award that they want to share. And I want to read this because what typically happens is civilians, military alike, and it's not even just DOD and other agencies, you'll see someone get an award, you'll receive this award with like members of your coworkers, but all the work that goes into this, I say it never leaves the room, right? So people from the public, folks that are listening, won't know what you've done in your career.
okay.
So bear with me, folks. So this is an Outstanding Civilian Career Service Award. It was awarded to you, Mr. John Gibson, in recognition of his distinguished performance in support of the Department of the Air Force from 29 September 1986 to 29 March 2025, most notably as the Airfield Waiver Program Manager, Air Force Civil Engineer Center, in the Air Force Installation and Mission Support Center, Air Force Material Command, Joint Base San Antonio, Texas. Mr. Gibson effectively executed Airfield Waiver Program, providing premier subject matter expertise and reach-back support to the field over the past 7 years. He trained 1,360 planners and airfield waiver operators and support personnel worldwide. He also spearheaded the development and deployment of the Airfield Waiver Support Tool, providing critical program continuity, record keeping, and streamlining the quality review of over 550 airfield waiver requests. The distinctive accomplishments of Mr. Gibson culminate in a long and distinguished career with the United States Air Force and reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of the Air Force. It was signed 29 March 2025 by Mr. Grable, who's an SES, the Executive Director. John, there's a lot of words in here.
Okay.
And what I'd like for you to do is just tell me a little bit about, like, what is an airfield waiver program? What is the work What is the work pointing to from this award, and why does it matter?
The Airfield Waiver Program is there to promote flying safety by providing coordination between construction activities going on the airfield and flying operations. So I was kind of the liaison between the civil engineer community and the flying community to make sure both sides understood each other when things were being built, so that they didn't get in the way of each other. And each one of those 550 airfield waivers had to go up to a 2 or 3 star general at Major Command, ATC, ACC, those guys, to get approved. And I spent most of my 7 years that I managed the Airfield Waiver Program buried in paperwork. But now I had a lot of fun. Prior to my coming to AVCAC from 2006 to 2015, I was the command planner at Air Education and Training Command. And as part of that, I went out with the airfield community on 27 airfield safety inspections called ATSEPs.
ATSEPs, that's right.
And we used to go to bases all over the command and make sure that they were conducting their operation safely. And my job was to look at their airfield waivers and make sure that they were all correct. So, and you had the correct signatures that everybody who was supposed to have looked at them and did that right.
All the coordination.
So, all the coordination, yeah.
So
that was all kinds of fun.
So you had mentioned airfield waivers. You mentioned the ATSEP, Air Traffic Safety Evaluation Program.
Yep.
They've since changed the name from what I understand. So tell me about kind of just one aspect of this. When you think about, I also was a planner, did airfield waivers, did touch points like that in my career. And if you're an operator or a pilot, you just want a clean runway to take off from and land from. You don't want to have to think about a crane in the area or a taxiway that's been dug up.
Or a far field monitor attached to a utility pole.
I know. That's not a good story. Yeah, we're talking about Masawa in the 90s.
Yep.
So let's just peel that back a little bit, kind of Masawa in the 90s.
Okay.
Because I think that highlighted...
That's my favorite story.
That's a story that put the laser focus on the airfield safety program.
1998, July. An F-16 pilot, I can't remember his name, my memory failed me, takes off on the runway at Masawa, Japan. Halfway down the runway, he experiences some kind of fault and decides that it's in his best interest to leave the airplane. Pulls the handle on the ground and goes. The airplane, still on the ground with the wheel down, continues forward through the threshold of the runway, through the overrun, through the ILS, which are all breakable, or the word we use is frangible. And then hits a far field monitor, which is attached to a huge telephone pole. That impact rips open the fuel cell of the aircraft, and it catches fire. Well, our friend Captain So-and-so up here in the air floats down into the flames, is severely burned, and later dies.
That's right.
This captain had a father who was also an Air Force officer, who was an academy classmate of the then Air Force Chief of Staff. He had the gumption to go and knock on the Chief of Staff's door, walk into his office and say, "Why is my son dead?"
That's right. Yeah.
And the chief of staff said, I don't know, but I'll find out. And we established a Tiger team at Tyndall in the summer of 2000. I was a member of that Tiger team.
I did not know that.
I was the base planner, but Jack Siegel, who was the command planner at ATC at that time, didn't want to go. So
he said me.
And we developed this whole procedure of how you were supposed to get airfield waivers written out, coordinated reviews, and up to the MAGCOM vice commander or deputy commander at that time, if it were a permanent or a long-term temporary waiver, to get approved. And we kept that procedure going through the remaining 25 years of my career, from 1999 to 2025. So, and you had to go through, you had to get it approved. Let's see. Airfield manager, operation group commander, wing commander.
That's right.
Then in MAGCOM, through civil engineering, through operations, through safety, and then ultimately up to the MAGCOM deputy for signature. And I did that in accordance with that citation about 500 times in the 9 years. When I got the Airfield Waiver Program Manager job in April of 18, I reviewed each and every one of these for all the MAGCOMs before they went through the MAGCOM process to make sure they were correct. And there were very few times that anything I sent up ever came back.
Yeah.
Without being signed, I mean. So,
yeah.
It was lots of fun.
So the thing, and you said 500 airfield waivers, why are they, our bases are constantly evolving. They're, those airfields, you don't build them once and leave them alone. So you've got to go back, you've got to make repairs. There's a lot of activity on airfields that can increase the hazard to pilots.
And those airfield activities are defined by a DOD, and I think a Unified Facility Code, UFC 326C01, which sets out standard airfield criteria. Well, UFC 326C01 was developed in the early 1970s. Most of our airfield were constructed in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, and none of them
met the
criteria. Yeah. So every time you did something like put up a new floodlight or something, you had to go through and get all this coordination done.
Yeah. And a lot of those things, going back to the Misawa incident, very tragic, very unfortunate for the family. But and I hate to say it, if that criteria had been followed, that far field monitor would have been on a frangible mount.
And it would have broken.
And
nobody would have been hurt.
And no one would have died. And that's why we have this program. And that's why, so the reason why I'm doing this, John, honestly, is there's a lot of folks out there who don't know what we do day to day as feds.
Right.
And when you take a program like this, which sounds like, and I'll just be honest, sounds like bureaucracy. I have to sign, you're pushing paperwork through 18 different offices. Well, the intent is, and 18 is an exaggeration.
No, it's not.
But if you've got the safety folks, the airfield operators, civil engineers coming together, and you go through this process, we're never going to make a mistake like that again.
That's correct.
And so lives are being saved because we're taking the time before something is constructed to go through all the safety checks, the criteria checks, the coordination, so that we are all on proverbial same sheet of music.
That's correct.
That's right.
And I do have, it's not a humorous story, but it's a funny story. 2022, the PACAF vice commander decides he's going to get a bill of initiative and he's going to delegate approval authority for these waivers from the MAGCOM back down to the wing commanders. it comes down to us at AFCAT, and our answer is not only no, but hell no.
Right.
So we go up to half, and we say, guys, you need to help us. So we get a message from the deputy, well, the chief civilian in half A4 at the time, down to the A4 and the A3 back and said, okay, the Air Force Chief of Staff approved this procedure.
That's right.
And we're not going to change this procedure until the Air Force Chief of Staff reapproves it. Do you really want us to do that? And the answer came back, no.
Negative. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yep.
Well, John, outside of the Airfield Waiver program, is there another program or something you want to talk about? Your time with the Air
Yeah,
Force?
well, okay. I started out in the same pilot supplier program. I imagine you're going to tell people about that. I started that in 1986 at Marshall Base, California, as a real estate guy. Now, our program at that time was you spent a year at base level, you spent a year at MAGCOM,
Oh, wow.
and then you went out and got assigned to your permanent base. So I spent a year at Marshall Base, California. Then they moved me to Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska, where I worked at the headquarters SAC for 15 months. Then they sent me down to base level in the wing at Offutt, the 55th Reconnaissance Wing, until I got my permanent job in May of '89 in the 12th Civil Engineering Squadron in Randolph. And I worked there as a real estate guy from '89 to '94 when I cross-trained from real estate into community planning.
All right.
Yep.
So so just real quick, and then we'll wrap this up and then I'll see you again later.
All right.
But, what does a real estate person do for the Air Force?
Real estate person manages all the land, leases, licenses, easements. You've got utility companies trying to run power cables or telephone cables across underground or above ground across your property, and they have to come ask you whether they can use our land to do it, and that's a whole nother coordination process that I won't go into here because it's even more complex than later.
Yes.
Yeah. And managed leases, managed easements, I didn't really like it that much, but and I also did space utilization and stuff. But when the opportunity to become a community planner came along in '94, I jumped at it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks, John. I just want to really highlight the good work that you've done. Not everyone gets an Outstanding Career Service Award. And so I just want to thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I appreciate you. And it's just more good work that feds do every day. All right. Hey, I'm with my friend Bo Bloomer, and he's with Checkmate Realty Group.
Checkmate Group, yeah.
Checkmate Group. And Bo, why don't you tell everyone kind of what it is you do and how you can help them?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Robert. First of all, we're so lucky to work with folks like yourself. I'm retired Air Force, and we've been always taught about, what's your why? And it hit us a little while back that our why is to be able to help individuals who are looking for a house to make a home. And it might sound like an easy process, but going through all the paperwork, going through the contract, looking for homes in specific areas, and then like having somebody on the ground. And this is kind of interesting because we've had numerous clients that have come from overseas or from outside the area, they're PCSing in, they're moving in, and they don't have time or they can't get here on the ground. So we're kind of the eyes and ears, the forward team here. So I'm super lucky. My wife and I, Anuzia, she and I have a team of agents here. We're called the Checkmate Group. And you say to yourself, that sounds a lot like Air Force kind of stuff.
There you go.
Well, a lot of it is strategic. And it's having your best foot forward, making sure that you're strategically poised for either selling or buying a home so that you win. Because there's a lot of people out there buying and selling at the same time.
And if you're in the military, at some point in your career, you're coming to DC.
Yeah.
And so if they want to get in touch with you, Bo, what's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can go to any different source. You can go to Google, you can go to Instagram, you can go to LinkedIn, you can go to YouTube, Facebook, just Bo Bloomer, the Checkmate Group. We're here at Century 21 Redwood. Our company, our brokerage has, I want to say, like 11 different offices all over the area. So we sell from Fredericksburg all the way up into, Virginia, all the way out past Ashburn. We're licensed in DC as well and in Maryland. So we're kind of all over the area.
Well, I, for one, am a fan because Bo's my realtor and he helped us get in our house in Virginia. And now he's going to help us get out of our house as we make our last transition. And Bo, I just want to thank you.
Oh, well, thanks so much. You and your family are a great story because you came in and we'll ask folks, hey, what's your criteria? And you're like, I want to go to Colgan High School with a lot of land and I'm going to need some extra garage space. And so we're able to put that search in and really hunt down some great homes for you. And it was been a pleasure and we're super lucky to know you. And I think this is the coolest thing in the world. These podcasts are a wonderful way to get out and talk to people. And I often jokingly tell people that I'm not a real estate agent, that I'm a marketing agent. And in this case, I'm a media agent, just like yourself. So thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Bo. Hey, Robert Rushing here, one of the old government guys, and today I've got the pleasure of sitting down with Teresa, and I wanted to just kind of take a moment because we do serious stuff, but we also talk some fun stories. And Teresa, do you have a fun story that you want to share with us?
A fun story.
Funny story. Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about one involving you.
No. Okay.
All right, so Mr. Rushing was one of my bosses throughout my career. And so every year, once a year at least, we go in there with a plan. We update it every so often, but like a TDY plan. Oh, I need to go to this conference or this training related. So it was time to do that. And one of my responsibilities was GeoBase. GeoBase came under my supervision, the GeoBase office. And every year, the GeoBase folks go to this annual conference, the ESRI conference in San Diego. And for years and years, I think I was there, 5 years at this particular office where I had GeoBase. And GeoBase, the head of GeoBase, Scott would always tell me, he's like, hey, you need to go to this at least once, to this conference. So I finally said, okay. So one day I was in Robert's office, Mr. Rushing's office, and I had these proposals, like, I think I need to go there. And the ESRI conference, I think I need to go there because GeoBase is under my responsibility. And it's a big deal in the Air Force, Yeah. Scott goes every year, right? And Mr. Rushing says no. To my shock, he said no. And he said, what did you say, Robert?
So I'm not going to fund a boondoggle.
He's not going to fund a boondoggle. Although, I go to all the sessions. I'm there to learn.
I know.
And he said no, so my feelings got hurt. Although my feelings had gotten hurt they got hurt a little bit, but because by that time, you know, I had a thick skin, I guess you could say that, regarding these rejections I would get. All right, so then he comes. I had like 2 or 3 branches, I forget, 3 branches, 3 offices under me. So this other person comes over to me and asks the same thing, but again, he's not GeoBase. He's in another branch.
Nothing to do with GeoBase.
Nothing to do with GeoBase, but he comes to me, and this is after I had already been in Robin, because it was that time of year, right? So he comes and he asked me if he could attend the Esri because he's doing some analysis and he's talked to the GeoBase folks a couple of times. So there's some connection there. He wants to go to the Esri conference. And I said, oh, you know what? Robert's going to have my back. And I'm going, sorry, John. I really can't see a reason for you to. I mean, it's maybe next year to see if you're going to get more involved with this. Let's look at it again that next year. So no to him. Then I go on leave, right? I go on leave for a week. Granted, I told them no, go on leave. I come back and find out that John is on the TDY to the Esri conference. So get out of my office in Cube Land, even though, you know, it has higher walls, but everybody can hear. Go straight into Mr. Rushing's office. He always has an open door policy, right? So I'm there at the door, and I'm not sure if you really noticed my demeanor. And I go in, I said, I understand that so-and-so is at the Esri conference. And he goes, yeah. And I said, do you recall? Do you remember that I actually requested for me to attend? And you said no? And I'm not sure, did you forget?
No.
You didn't forget. Okay, you didn't forget. But why did he let that other person that works for me, not related to the GeoBase, and he knew I was upset.
Oh, yeah.
He knew I was upset.
You were upset.
Yes, I never let him forget. Anytime it would come
Oh, my
up,
gosh.
I would say, oh yeah.
Do you remember the GeoBase conference?
So the following year, I did go to the
You did
Esri
go.
conference, and I did attend all the sessions, and it was very, very educational for me, I must say. And yes, it was fun.
Yes. So I have a story I want to tell about our TDY to Wright-Patterson.
Okay.
So in the civil engineer world, there's a functional advisory council that is led by at the time, the deputy Air Force civil engineer, who's a senior executive, so a member of the SES Corps. And it's all volunteers, right? So there's volunteer panels, different groups are put together that take a look at civilian policy. And I was a panel chair. And I had asked you to help me. I was workforce management panel chair at the time, I think. And I'd asked you to help me out with some of the volunteer work. And another fellow named John Steele, so shout out to John, who turned out to be a hoot. So one of these days I got to track John down. And like, you guys had never met. This is the first time we all kind of met in person. And so we get to Wright-Patterson, and, you know, we briefed Miss Balkus on our initiatives. We were the best panel by far, you know, and my philosophy was I didn't want to get up there and talk because I was GS15, I already made it, you know, and I wanted you all to have kind of FaceTime with the senior leaders. So, you know, you gave your portion of the presentation, John gave his portion of the presentation, and we had a good time. We really bonded as a team, and we got to meet John and get to know him better. Well, when it came time to leave, you know, we'd been giving each other grief all week, and it turned out we were all on the same flight, and we were on the same, you know, flight from, you know, Dayton to, I don't know, Chicago, whatever it was, and we had the connecting flight, and then we kind of went our separate ways. And I got off the plane, and I was texting John, you know, as we're taxiing around. I said, hey, because I didn't see you on the flight. I said, have you seen Teresa? He said, oh yeah, she's the back, you know, she's wearing the stewardess's out because she's asking for drinks every 30 times, you know, every minute. And I saw her and her wig's all jacked up. And I was laughing. I'm like, I don't even know this guy, you know. But it was a group text, right?
Yes, I was gonna. Yes, and I was reading this, and I'm going, "What
in the world?"
But yeah.
Oh,
That was a group
That
text.
was a good time. But
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was fun.
it's not like,
But he barely knew me,
he
right?
barely, and he's just throwing barbs left and right. That was hilarious because I'm like, well, I don't think Teresa wears a wig, you know.
Or drinks.
Or drinks. Yeah. No, not at all. Right, not at all. Guard your drinks. But other than that, not at all. Not at all. No, I think this is just another example. Like, we work hard, we play hard.
Yes.
We always took the mission and our work serious. And I think to let off steam, after hours, we'd always, as teams, we'd go out and we'd have dinner or we'd talk about, the day's activities. But I always appreciated, I knew, like, I get to meet you working at AFCIC, and I always appreciated your dedication to the mission and how serious you took everything. And, we would, and even I was guilty. I thought all kinds of crazy stuff like, I think Teresa will figure this out, and lob it over the fence, and you did. And I just want to thank you for, for all the dedication and the time and bringing your expertise to the table and sharing some of the funny stories that we had to share together. There's many more, but these are the ones that we'll tell today.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Well, yeah, we'll set those aside for another day.
That's right. And Teresa, so just thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
And sharing
thank you for
some time
doing
with
this.
us.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of good stories out there.
Lots of good stories. All right, everybody, take care.
Bye.
And there you have it. We've just wrapped up another episode of the Old Government Guys, a Rapid Point studio production. We're always on the lookout for new folks to highlight, so if you know someone who deserves to be recognized, let us know. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions on how we can make the show a little better, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out to me or my cohort at OGG@rapidpointstudio.com.
Old Government Guy Robert here. Just wanted to thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to like, follow, or subscribe, and make sure you tell a friend about the show. It's our goal to be your third favorite podcast, so keep the suggestions coming in as we work to mature our platform. And once again, thanks for tuning in. Hey, Robert here. If you find yourself traveling down I-40 in eastern Oklahoma and you need a quiet place for the night, stop in and see my friends Kelly and Jody at Ambassador's Inn and RV Park, where they aim to provide you three things: a clean room, your restful night's sleep, and probably a wacky story, because Kelly is full of them. But don't, and I repeat, do not let him tell you a joke. He's terrible at jokes. Kelly and Jody aim to provide a clean, quiet, uneventful stay. Ambassador's Inn and RV Park is an American-owned and operated small business where your peace and comfort are their top priority. You'll find Ambassador's Inn and RV Park at exit 278, where a safe and homely atmosphere awaits. Be sure and tell them the Old Government Guy sent you. For more information, you can find Ambassador's Inn and RV on Facebook or give them a call at 918-463-3727. Old Government Guy Robert here. I just wanted to let everyone know that the Old Government Guys also has a Facebook page. On there you can find not much, because we're not terribly active, but it's a good place to leave comments or to see what other people are saying and have a little online banter back and forth. And again, thanks for following the show. Take care, everybody.